Welcome to another episode of the Blemished Beauty Podcast. This podcast was designed with you in mind. If you're ready to erase the norm and embrace the truth, come pull up a chair, grab a journal, and tell a friend that your favorite Jersey girl is back with another episode. So let's get into it.
Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Blemished Beauty Podcast, and I am your host, your favorite Jersey girl, Shara Renee. And today I have a special episode for you. I have the pleasure of sitting down with Dr. Khanna Josue. And she is a certified brain coach. Now, y'all know we have so many different life coaches and all the things. So to sit down with a certified brain coach, you know this is going to be a really good episode. So after her interlude, I will bring her to the stage and we're going to tackle all things dealing with anxiety and survivor stories. And, I can't wait for you guys to meet her. So after the interlude, I'll bring her to the stage. Hi, Dr. Khanna. How are you?
Yes, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm so excited you're here. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. I am honored to be here.
So tell the people, what is a certified brain coach? Tell them a little bit about yourself and why we're here today.
Okay. I'll tell you a little bit about me. I am a certified transformation and brain coach. What does that mean? I am not a motivator. I like to tell people that in the beginning because there's a difference between a motivator and a cultivator. Usually I come in after the motivation to cultivate what you're motivated about. So I am a teacher that takes things by the hair and I teach you how to implement what you're motivated about. So cultivation goes to the ground, to the root of the thing. So anything that I would help, whether it's coach or premarital counseling, I go to the root of the problem so we could solve the problem. And sometimes we could get motivated and it become a high. And you want to get motivated again, and nothing is moving. That's when you need a cultivator. Said, okay, I need to take that somewhere. And so a lot of my mentees were suffering with that. And that's what caused me to study more about how we are operating in our brain that causing these issues. Where is it coming from? Where is the root of the problem? So I have that pleasure where I could use that in my counseling, premarital counseling, postmarital counseling, all the coaching. So I'm able to use that to help individuals to tap into their original self to live a full life. Because I do believe that I have a picture of a brain here, well, actually a real brain. I believe this is life. This is a gift that's been given to us. But then we have to teach, you have to learn how to live it, how to make a living out of this life, because this is a beautiful gift. And if we don't know how it operates, because it's a system, we're not really living. We're just surviving day by day. Whatever I could do. But if we tap into the system of our mind and our brain, we'll be able to make a living out of this gift that we've been created here. So, so that the brain coach comes in. I took the brain apart. Every piece of the organ of this brain is for something in our lives. It's a manifestation of how we live, the choices that we make, and how we live life. Every piece in that beautiful organ of ours means something, but most of us are not conscious about it. We're just conscious about the fruit of the tree, but we're not conscious about the root of the tree. And that's what a brain coach does. We go to the root of the thing so you can have fruit. And sometimes when you look at a fruit in the tree and you say, oh, this is bad fruit, you throw it away. And next season you have more bad fruit. So if you don't go to the root of it and fix the problem, every season you're going to have bad fruit. You
I love
see?
that. I love how you said that because that is true. When we were talking before, a lot of the times when you deal with trauma, and you react in a way to the trauma, it's not you and your age that you're acting in now. It's where the trauma began, which is
Exactly.
probably 8 years old or 9 years old, whatever age. So I love that you say that because we don't really look at the root of the problem. So what made you get into this field? Growing up, was you always just intrigued about the brain and the root of things, or how did you get to this place?
I believe it's because my love for the root of the thing. And I think from what I could remember, even as a teenager, I used to ask a different question. And my
Mhm.
question was based on why. So why
Mhm.
is it like that? Well, how did it get to that? So it started with a lot of whys that
Yeah.
caused me to start studying myself because nobody could answer my question. And they were like, stop asking why, just deal with, with the end of the thing. And but I was so fascinated. But how did we get started? I was even fascinated. Well, how did the world get created? How did it? And that started in that arena. And as I began to teach, and I started mentoring, and I mentor a lot of adults. And what was the main problem is I know what you taught me. I can't remember what you taught me. And when I get to the problem, I can't remember what you said. And I can't seem to move to the next level. So they
Mhm.
stay in one place. So it caused me to go deeper to find out what is it that's causing them not to learn, not to grab the learning, forgetting. And that's what caused and took me to the brain to find out there is a part of our brain, the hippocampus part of the brain, that's where the learning is. And as you grow older, it becomes callous if you don't take care of it, if you don't know how to take care of it. So it becomes callous, it's harder to learn. See, we have two operation systems. Sometimes we call it the left and the right brain, but it's not called that. It's called the system. Now, the first system is the thinking system. And that's what most of us use 95% of the time. It's like we're on autopilot. We we live 95% just thinking, doing, that's it. But the second system, the other part of the system, is the logical part of us that we only use like 5% of the time. That's going to cause us
Mm.
to think. That's going to cause us to be logic. That's going to cause us to be rational. That's going to cause us to really peel back the situation and solve the problem. And most of us don't want to solve the problem. And I want you to know this. Society knows that. So society create market for people that won't use that logical part of their brain,
Mm.
that system. So the market make it easy for you not to think. Well, okay, fine, we're gonna give you this, and then you waste money and you waste your life because we know that you're not gonna go to the next system. You're not gonna be logical about this. You're going to grab whatever comes to you and you're gonna accept it. Whatever society said, you're going to accept it. So that a market is created for people that won't take the time to use the system that's already been given to us. So what I'll tell people, the answer is really within us. We're just not taking time to find the answer within us. So we want somebody else to give us the answer. So what I do, I lead people to where the answer is within them. So I take them to that journey in their mind to find it. Because I'm like, I'm not going to be here every day of your life. So you need to know how to go get the answer yourself.
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, so I lead a lot of my clients and the answers come right out of their mouth. I'm like, are you listening to yourself? Are you right there? Like, oh, oh. So I don't give people one, two, three. No, I lead them in what they need to do so you could be self-sufficient in life and
Yeah.
learn how to live your own life.
Yeah.
So
Self-sufficiency is very important. And then, especially in this day and age, everything it just becomes so easier and easier, which makes us and using our brains less and less. So like we have AI, Chat GPT, you can do all these things. And now you don't even have to just do much. Back in the day when I was in school, we had to literally go to the library and look through encyclopedias and research these things. Now the
that,
kids can just sit on the couch or on their beds and just Google something.
and it's
And
not healthy.
And it's not always credible either. Like, at
It's
least
not.
when we were using those resources, we knew it was credible. Now
Ex-
it's like anybody can post something. I could post something and it'll go viral. That doesn't mean it's right. And
Exactly.
then we're using that and just living off life. Social media has turned into a whole big thing. So I love that you say that, because we have to get back to using our resources and what we've been
Exactly.
given. And that's
Exactly.
our brain. So I
Exactly.
love that.
You brought a lot of things back to my memory. You were saying, I'm like, yeah, I remember the days that we actually used to read. We used to.
Yeah.
Now we can't communicate anymore because someone else is communicating for us. But I want all of us to understand that, yes, this may be a good thing, easy, but the answer is in here, actually doing the work. That's what's called living purposely. You got to purposely go into yourself and start examining your mind. Okay, I need to learn, I need to do this. You can't get away from that. No matter what generation, what's happening today, you can never get away from this. Otherwise, you're gonna stay in your trauma. But you have to want to come out of the trauma. Say, what is my first step? What is my first step of coming out and being healed? And like you said, people, if you've been divorced and you've been traumatized and losing a child or want to commit suicide, where is that coming from? It's something in the brain that's not operating or releasing the proper message. And what we don't understand, that even our emotion that's located a part of our brain, that the hippocampus part of our brain, there's a chemical that is formed in our brain. And sometimes it could be the environment where you are. It could be the type of conversation you're having. It could be things that you're eating you should not be eating.
Wow.
And it forms a factory of chemicals. And then now all of a sudden you start feeling something and you're like, why am I feeling this way? You don't even know why you're feeling this way. And one of the things that I don't recommend people say, I'm feeling some type of a way. You have to identify
Label
what
it.
you're
Yes.
feeling so you could deal with it. What is it that you're feeling? You depressed? You unhappy? You sad? Follow why. Where is that coming from? And when you do that in your brain, you go back into your library. You'll locate it so you could pull it out and say, you don't belong in here. And that's where the levels, and I'll teach you a lesson called the 3 levels of the mind. The unconsciousness is like a library that keeps everything that you've been through. And what it does, it gives a message to that other part of your brain, of the amygdala, which is the guard of your brain. And if something is happening to you and it's good, but the brain have already registered a bad trauma, a bad feeling, and it keeps the memory of it, it released the message to the amygdala and said, don't let it in. Don't let in. The guard everything and said, no, you're not coming in, because you have not identified, this is not trauma. This is not bad. This is okay. Even pain, some pain are growing pain. But if you registered in your unconsciousness that pain is no good, the amygdala registered, become the guard and said, no, I'm not going to accept correction. No, I'm not going to accept any adjustment. No, I'm not going to accept any new love. I see pain, and pain is not good. We have to go back and change that message in our unconsciousness and say, no, this is not that. This is not this. And that's the reason I wrote this book called School of Thought. The School of Thought is not, I call it a book, but it's not really a book. It's literally a school that you take your thought back to school to readjust yourself, to readjust your thought, to transform your thought from things that is negative, thing that is keeping you from succeeding, things that's keeping you from getting into new relationship, all of that. So when you take the thought back to school, it like goes to a blender, and then it's almost like you bring the thought, the bad thought, and then you replace it with the good thought. So when you do that and you listen throughout the day, they have different chapters of whether relationship, success, communication, investment, and that thought, you play it in your mind and chew it in your brain throughout the day. Then there's space for you to write information or write whatever that's coming into your mind so you could remember the experience. And as you go throughout the day and you're saying these thoughts over and over again, what's happening in your brain, there's a transformation and exchange taking place. So the bad thought is gone, is gone, is gone. And then now here comes the new thought, which is there's a part in our brain that's called neuroplasticity, meaning that we have the capability to change our brain. And some of it doesn't matter how old you are, it just takes work. And
Mhm.
sometimes you can say, you can't teach old dogs new trick. That was
Yeah.
not true. That's not true. That just sound like a really funny saying, but it is not correct, because you can. And we were created with that neuroplasticity to change our brain, because a thought comes in. If it sticks over 48 hours, it becomes permanent. So you have
Mm.
48 hours to remove the thought before it becomes permanent.
Wow.
So it goes in your library. Boom. Now, where's this thought coming from? Oh, you never got rid of that. And you had 48 hours to get rid of it. So the neuroplasticity, the thought just sits and sit and sit. Okay, 48 hours pass by. You didn't do anything. You didn't say anything. Oh, blah, blah. Now it's in your unconsciousness. It's in your library. And then the emotion is also registered. So if you remember, that particular thought carried an emotion, whether fear or anything. So anything that looks similar, it send the message, uh-oh, don't do it. It's registered. So that's why a lot of us run from pain, because we assume pain is bad. But you get, you go through pain when you're having a child.
Yeah.
You go every time you move to
Definitely.
another place. Yeah, even women, they go through menopause. Every stage in life, teenagers go through the pain of growing. There's always pain, but I've always tell people, which one is greater for you: the pain to stay where you are, or the pain to move to the next level and grow? Because you're
Mm.
gonna feel pain either way.
I
So
love
I
that.
made a decision years ago. Yeah, the pain to me is greater to stay where I am. That's greater for me. So I'd rather just go ahead, put my shoes, my backpack on, and start traveling. It's okay, because I'm moving, I'm doing something. I'm going from life to living, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's fascinating. That's why I love teaching that class, my Sweep Your Brain series, to break it down to pieces and say, this is the part of the brain that does that. This is the part of the brain that helps. And especially when you said the people that want to commit suicide, understand that's not normal. It's because there's a message that is entwined with something else that's released into your brain that gives you the message to want to commit suicide. But you able to take that message and change it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be in, unless you want to be in medicine, pills. You don't have to do that. If you know how to change the message that comes in your brain, you have to make the effort of changing that, right? So
Yeah.
I've counseled people that wanted to commit suicide, and after the counseling, they have that never entered their mind anymore, because now they know not to allow that thought. Where did it come from? When did it start? How do I get rid of it? You need to know that. So because one day you can't jump up and just say, "Oh, I'm gone," and you're not even supposed to leave here yet. But it's all about the message, the firing nuance that's growing or dying. There's a nuance in the brain. I call it the branch of the forest. Is whether it's going to catch on fire, or it's going to grow and it'll become like a Christmas tree, which is light and give you ideas and give you thought clarity. Or is it going to burn? And what caused it to burn? Negative thought, anger, frustration. And I tell couples that all the time when they get mad. I said, okay, you get mad and you start breaking everything in the house and you set the house on fire. And I'm not talking about physical house. I'm talking about relationship, because the
Mm-hmm.
relationship is a house that you want staying together. So you set that on fire. When it's over, you got to live in that same relationship that you just burned up. So,
I
and then
love
you get
that.
mad. Yeah, you set it on fire. So be careful. We have to learn to control our emotion. How do I do that? Very good question. This is what you do. You have to learn to control that, because it's a chemical. Emotions are chemical that changes. So you can't make permanent decision based on a temporary chemical. And you have to live with that decision for the rest of your life. So learning how to operate in this system that we've been giving will actually give you the quality of life that you're looking for.
I love that. Going back to what you said about like the thought process, it takes 48 hours. That just made me think of how they say in the Bible, don't let the sun set on your wrath, because that'll cause a permanent decision, which will also in turn cause you to, as you just said, set your house on fire because you're allowing those things to fester. So I love that you said that, and I love that you have visuals, because I always have visuals. For me, it helps me to retain the information. So I love that.
Yes.
I'm so I'm so excited about this episode because I feel
Yeah,
like
and I'm so glad you said that about the Bible, because a lot of people don't understand the Bible have levels. One
Mhm.
level teach you how to have a spiritual relationship with God. But there's another level that teach you how to have a relationship in the natural through your body, because the
Mhm.
seat of your soul is in here.
Mm.
That is where the seat of your soul. What is your soul? Your will, your mind, your choices. All of that is the soul. The soul
Mhm.
is sitting in here. It's not in your heart. It's not in the. It's in here. So I'm
Mhm.
glad you said that, because that's exactly what that statement came from. About the
Yeah.
48 hours. So that's why he was telling you that, because he knows your
Mhm.
brain going to register it. Quickly go deal with the matter so it won't stay. Because as you say, unforgiveness, when you keep unforgiveness, it eats up your bones.
Yeah.
Sickness, disease, diabetes, cancer, all of that is the effect of the body eating itself from unforgiveness, because
Wow.
it's a chemical. So what happened when you put a chemical on something? It eats it up. So that unforgiveness is a chemical. It's part of emotional chemical. It eats up the bone. It eats up the, and then so it manifests in a sickness. So you think you're sick. You think you have diabetes. You think you have all, but it's the chemicals that's eaten up inside.
Wow.
So let's say the emotion is one chemical, and then you're eating something that have chemicals in it. Can you imagine the monster that we're creating in our body with all these little chemicals? What is that monster years ago that they created? Frankenstein, right? So, so we create the Frankenstein of our brain that just sitting there. What is going on within me? And you don't know that this character from chemicals have been created in our brain that's releasing messages or standing between the right message and deterred the message. By the time you heard it, you thought you heard kill yourself, don't be here, and it's not really what the
Mm.
message is. So in the neuroplasticity, there's different levels. There you have the chemical change, you have the structure change, and you have the function change inside the level of neuroplasticity. So this is where it's located. This is where it's happening in the brain, the little factories, and so the structure change is in the neuroplasticity. That's the process of transformation. How do you transform? By the renewing of
Knowing of
your
your mind.
mind.
Mhm.
You can't transform any other way by the renewing of your mind. So, what do you need to transform from? Okay, I need to transfer from this to that. Okay, let's start renewing your mind about relationship so you can get
Mhm.
married again. Just because you had a divorce, you had a bad relationship, does not make all men bad. Everybody, I don't want to be married no more because all men. No, it's not. All men are dog. That is not true. It just happened you made the wrong choice in that area of your life. So we deal with that and transform the mind. So because true love is waiting for you, another chance in marriages, in relationship is waiting for you. You understand? And the
Yeah.
same thing about losing a loved one and losing a child. It's very painful. But what is the next level after the pain?
Yeah.
When is the next level of me learning to deal with the loss for the rest of my life? Because the child is not coming back, the loved one is not returning. So, how do I live life now without the loved one? What does life look like without that loved one? So, I have
Mhm.
to get up from where I am and start going to a journey, a process of healing. But healing does not make you forget about your loved one. It doesn't say that, oh, some people feel guilty. If I get healed, I'm leaving my child or my spouse behind. Some people will feel that because I feel like I need, but taking them with you in your heart, all you're doing is just switching position from where they were in your life, and now they're switching over to your memory, which is still part of your life. You
Right.
see? So it's just learning how to deal with that. You can't stay and allow yourself to drown. And one of the things that I learned about my transformation and brain coach, I really don't work with people that do not want to live. Like, I want to stay here. I have to wait till they get to the point and say, help me. I want to do better. And
Right.
that's when I come in.
Right.
Right? Because if you don't, it's like trying to save somebody that don't, that's drowning, and they're kicking you back, and both of you drown together because they're not
Yeah.
saying, save me. They're pulling you with them. And I'm not really called in that area. I'm called to people I'm ready. And that's where the statement come from. And I have that on my website. When the student is ready, the teacher will show.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's why you come after motivation, because if they're in a place
Exactly.
mentally where they're willing to get motivated, then they'll be in a place to get cultivated, because now they're ready to be saved and do the work. I love that.
Yes,
I love it.
exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly. So they're coming in. I'm motivated. Okay, this is what I'm motivated about. Okay, I'm ready. Let's get started. And that's when I come in. But if you just
Mhm.
want to go, and sometimes you can, there are some people that stuck there, don't know that. They're addicted to motivation. They go back and
Mm.
get motivated again. They go back and get motivated again. That is a part of the brain that love the reward. That is the part of the chemical of our life that we get addicted to. And you just want
Right.
to, you want it again and again and again. And that's an addiction all by itself. So you have to realize that, say, you know what? I'm moving, but I'm moving in circles. I'm not moving forward. So there's a difference between moving and moving. But so
Yeah.
sometimes we think because we're moving in circle, I'm okay. I'm okay. But you in the same place. Remember, you just saw that preview. You just saw that in your view last year. Remember that what happened 5 years ago. It's the same view. So you
Yeah.
have to come to a point and say, wait, I'm repeating the same cycle. I'm watching the same view. I'm not really going anywhere. I'm just going
Mhm.
in circles.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love
So
that. So that's like, I was gonna say,
go ahead.
that's just like when you go to church, they have those pastors where they always you always want to hear them say God is gonna do this and God's gonna do that, but you don't want to hear them ever say you have to do this or you have to do that. You have to change some things in order to receive some things. And I love what you said
I'm
earlier. I always tell people you can't heal what you don't reveal. So you gotta, open it up, and you
I love
gotta
that.
be honest, because that's the only way it's gonna heal. If you talk about it or you say what's going on, you gotta be transparent. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. And then when you said that, here's one of the issues, because I had that same issue. I'm like, well, you go into church and you want to hear this and over again. But what happened? The truth is, whoever the preacher, the teacher, or the pastor is teaching, they are teaching their classroom. It's up to you to know, okay, I've graduated from that. I
Hmm.
need to go to the next level of my classroom. We get mad at the preacher and the teacher for teaching the same thing, but that's what they are called to teach, whatever grade they are teaching. When you go
Yeah.
to school, the teacher doesn't change the subject, you change classroom. And
Yeah.
that's something that's not taught, because you go to church, you stay there 30 years, 50 years till you die, and you're like this. But that is not what that is. It actually is a classroom, and the teacher
Hmm.
is teaching. It's, if you stay there, you're going to hear the fifth grade teaching over and over and over again. And you're going to be like, oh, I'm tired. It's because you're not moving, you're not graduating. You're supposed to graduate, take what you learn in school. Now you go to the world and implement it and make room for the next step of student that's coming through.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
instead, now we feel the pure, what nobody can come in, because we're staying there over and listening to the same grade teaching. And then we get upset. I'm not growing. Okay, that's the same thing you would tell a child that's supposed to graduate, but they're staying in 12th grade over and over because I love the teacher. I am
Mhm.
loyal to the school. And the school need me. So now you a 30-year-old sitting in a 12th grade. That's what it looks like in the church. Like,
Yeah.
why are you not? Because we're supposed to stay here. Like God leaves outside the world. God is only in the church. And that's not true.
Mhm.
And that's again misunderstanding, mistranslating how we were created, why we were created, and how we are supposed to operate on earth with this beautiful image and the beautiful brain, which is a piece of diamond that God have given us. That
Yeah.
is his image, and we have to learn how to live it. And when you said that, it was like, oh, I spent years wondering, well, why? I feel like I'm just tired. I know what they're gonna say. I don't want to go because I already know what they're gonna say.
You leveled
And
up.
for
Yeah.
years, so uncomfortable until I find out. Oh, I am supposed to graduate
Mhm.
and go to school and go out there and implement what I've been taught.
Yeah.
And that just really set my mind free.
And that's why the church is
Mhm.
inside of us. That's why God gives us his representation within us, because when that does
Mhm.
happen, the graduation does happen, we still have a piece of him within us to do what it
Exactly.
is that we are set to do. So we need to
Exactly.
cultivate. I'm going to use that. We need to cultivate that. That's why we sit. That's why we're being taught. We have to be,
Exactly.
fed. And then once we're full, just like in a visual, just like in a regular table, you don't continue to sit at the table when you're full. You get up and then you go to other rooms of the house or do other things. So that's the same thing. So yeah, I love that you said.
Exactly. Exactly. And,
I
and
love it.
one of the other day that I was talking to them, having a conversation, they was like, "Oh, why everybody don't go to church?" I said, "Let me tell you why. Because I graduated from church to relationship. So it's about
Mhm.
relationship now. It's
Not
not about because
religion.
I've been
Yes.
there to church for years. I got it.
Mhm.
Now it's about relationship. So now I
Mhm.
have to learn, as you said, cultivate my relationship with God, my relationship with my family, my relationship with my spouse, my relationship with my children, my relationship with my life and myself. Now I need to cultivate what relationship look like. And most of us, and but especially people that come from the church, we don't do relationship well.
No.
We just do me and God. Yeah.
Yeah,
We don't do relationship. I'm like, excuse me, relationship with one another, it equals your relationship with God. He said that.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of us lack of relationship because we don't understand that really our brain, how would I say this? When I tell a couple, I said your relationship is your, as you said, the table for you to eat is your dinner time. It's how you nourish yourselves. It's how you nourish your mind in your relationship. So if you don't go in and properly put your relationship in order, this is why you said we have grew apart
Mm.
because of lack of nourishing the relationship for you to grow together. You still individuals, but you complement each other. You don't become each other. You learn to complement. So what does that do? It's cultivating. It's working and understanding how does the mind work? How do I go in? And the brain certification help a lot in my couple sessions to for me to be able to help them understand how does the brain work, how do you operate, how do you see things, and how do you view each other, how do you view your relationship. It all come from within ourselves.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Because then, like the Bible also says, how can two walk together unless they agree? So if I'm the type of person where I see myself one way, I can't be with someone who looks at themselves another way, because I'm looking at the healed version of me and you're still in the broken version of you. Like, we can sit and talk about those things, but certain things or mindsets and stuff, if you're not willing to renew it, to change it, then we will never get to a place where we need to grow together and be together because we're not agreeing. So I love that. I love that you said that.
Yes. Yeah. But sometimes when two people get together, you have to be careful because you choose each other in your broken places.
Mm-hmm.
And then when one starts growing, they realize, wait, you
This
really
ain't
not
it.
what I wanted. Exactly. You made the choice in your broken places. So both of you were broken and both of you were dying, and you use each other to bring life. And that's not good,
Mm-hmm.
because when you choose a mate or someone you're in a relationship with, and you see the little pieces people put on the necklace where there's two broken pieces, you come together as one, which is give people the an image that's not true, because you're supposed to come together as a whole, not
Mm-hmm.
as a piece. So you met each other while you were broken, the other person were broken, and one decided, I'm going to be healed and be whole, and the other one is still like, what's wrong with you? Why are you different?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm getting healed and you still in the same broken places. So,
Right.
and that's where they feel like we are yoked together in a broken place. But when you start growing and being healed, that's when the problem comes in the relationship, because only one is growing. So I've always tell them, make sure you grow together and keep each
Right.
other updating in your growth, because you're
Yeah.
not going to be the same person you're married. Because you hear that in relationship, you're not who I married. You're not who you
That's the
were 10
point.
years ago.
That's
And
the point. You're supposed to change.
hello, that is the point. I'm not. But we
Yes.
think that's not normal, right? And like, you're supposed to be the same person. No, we both supposed to be someone else. But you keep each other updating on the changes and the transformation
Mm-hmm.
and the growth by keeping each other. Okay, I don't like blue anymore. I like red. I don't like roses anymore. I like other things. So you have to keep each other updated in your growth so you could complement each other, not be
I
each other.
love that. People can be equally yoked in their brokenness. And I think, a lot of the times, especially growing up in church, you hear that all the time. We got to be equally yoked. We got to be equally yoked. But people love to, one thing that I'm learning is people love to stick to a scripture and just that scripture alone. They don't like to read above that scripture and they don't like to read below it either. So, like how they say, oh, I'm the head and I'm not the tail. I'm this and that. But God also tells you about obedience as well in order to receive what the head receives. He also tells you about disobedience and what you will receive that the tail receives. So I love that you said that, because people need to be aware of those things. Like, if you do feel like you're equally yoked, that's a good thing, but make sure you're equally yoked in a healthy way and not an unhealthy way. So I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I recommend premarital counseling for people that's in relationship, even counseling even if you're not getting married yet. But I don't want to waste my time in a relationship if I'm not supposed to be there. So
Yeah.
I recommend, if you are in a relationship and you're looking to seek long term, get
Mm-hmm.
into counseling before you waste 5 years, 10 years of your time. And you will hear women, he still have not asked me to marry him. Well, you didn't find out in the beginning that he doesn't want to be married.
Right.
That's something that you need to find out. And
Yeah.
then you need to find out if he or she want to have children. You don't
Yeah.
want to wait till somebody get pregnant, or yeah, well, I told you I didn't want children. What? We never talked about it. So even in
Mm-hmm.
relationship, there should be relationship counseling, and I do that too, to find out, should I continue in this relationship? Am I wasting my time? Am I wasting
Yeah.
my energy? Because your life is your investment. That's my 401k, and I
Yep.
can't waste it on anything. Right?
Yes.
So I have to be careful where I take a piece of this 401k and invest it. So if I'm going to invest it in this relationship, I got to make sure I'm going to get a return. There's
Absolutely.
nothing wrong with wanting a return, but some people, well, I don't want to be married. Okay, that's cool. I'm not changing that. That's what I want. So we shouldn't be together.
Right.
But what we do, we go and try to change people's mind.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna stay in this. So I'm gonna make you want me. I'm gonna make you want to marry me. By the time I'm finished with you, you're gonna want to marry me. That
Yeah. No.
that is not healthy.
Mm-mm.
That's called gambling, and you could lose in gambling.
Yeah.
Right? We're getting older. We don't have time to gamble with our lives.
Okay.
You know,
Absolutely.
right?
And
We don't
staying
have
in
nine.
staying in what you want is also called setting a boundary. You have a boundary.
Exactly.
Like a lot of the times we say these things that we do, but I'm like you. I've been very inquisitive since I was little, and I always want to know why this and why that. And I'm analytical at the same time. So I need things broken down for me. So when I hear certain things and I'm visual, I like to label these things. So when you hear that word, you know what that means. So you're saying,
Mhm.
I want to get married. You're with somebody that don't want to get married, then you need to leave that person alone. That's setting a boundary. So that's very
Exactly.
important that people need to, be aware of, because if you feel like you said, you can't change a grown person. If you have a timeline, then you stick to your timeline, because removing that person will allow you to open the door for that another person who's supposed to be there to arrive. But you can't receive something that God has for you if your hands are still full with something you were supposed to drop.
Exactly. But you know where that come from? That come from us not wanting to do the work. And we
Mm-hmm.
get comfortable. I don't have to start over again. So let me go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and work with what I have. We
Yeah.
don't want to do the work in life. We just want an autopilot. Once I do it, I'm going to stick to it till it works. And what you're
Yeah.
doing, you're wasting time.
Time.
And then
Yeah.
what really belongs to you is leaving because you feel comfortable in the trauma. The
Yeah.
trauma is familiar to you, and that's
Yeah.
all you know. And so you're going to work and work and work 10 years later. Oh my God, I wasted my time. But you knew that the first 6 months, you knew that
Yeah.
the first 2 weeks, but you wanted to stick. Let me, and I just did what you said. I was like, oh my God, I just did a school of thought about boundaries, setting boundaries. It is so important. A lot of people think boundaries are limitation. Boundaries is not limitation. Boundaries are the rails of life. It's
Yeah.
actually your protection, is your place of safety, is your place. We all were created with boundaries. When Adam and Eve was put in the garden, what did
They had
God say?
boundaries.
This is your
Mm-hmm.
boundary. Don't eat from this fruit, but you can eat everything else. That's boundaries. It wasn't limitation. So we were created with boundaries, but when we don't set them, how it's because something else is wrong. Because you want anything, anybody to be anything to anybody. What I've said in the school of thought, you become the glass of water for somebody else's thirst when you don't set
Mm.
boundaries. So now they're
Wow.
gonna drink up the water and leave the empty cup and go find another cup full of water, and you left out here
Empty.
empty,
Empty.
broken, because you quench someone's thirst because you refuse to
Wow.
have boundaries. In
Wow.
your mind, you think it's limitation. And so, what's the deeper problem with that? Something else is going on inside of you to do that to yourself, for you to feel that to yourself. Lack of love, lack of self worth. All of that have to come from within first. Before I ask someone else to fall in love with me, I need to learn to love me first. What does it look like for me to love myself, respect and honor and value who I am? Then I could ask someone else to do that. Really, you don't have to even ask because it's contagious. People
Mm.
treat you the way you treat yourself.
Yeah.
So once they see the self-worth, automatically those who feel like you unworthy are going to be turned off anyway. All those that feel like I don't want to respect you are going to be turned off. But you're going to attract those that respect you because the way you treat yourself, the way you
Mhm.
honor yourself, the way you pay attention to yourself. And I tell people, speaking to yourself is not crazy, it's healthy.
Yeah.
Because if I don't speak to myself, this means I'm ignoring myself, right? If I don't listen and hear myself, but I'm asking you to hear me, I want to be heard. The first thing I tell people is, have you heard yourself first
I
before you
love
let them?
it.
You want to let's listen to yourself first. So boundaries are big for me. Boundaries, you have to set it. You have to. But if you don't want to, you need to find out why. What is it that's message that's giving me a message of don't do boundaries? Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with this. Okay, no, no. You're afraid. I'm afraid I may never get anybody. I'm afraid that I may never connect. I'm afraid that I may never. No, you can't live life by fear. Fear is a chemical. So boundaries attract the right person to come in, so you don't have to get these what they call these um, Ishmael,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
So Ishmael is the wrong one, but the Isaac is gonna come is
Hmm.
because you become a magnet to attract what you are, which is a woman who set her boundaries, even a man to set the boundaries, a man or woman who respect themselves. So you become that magnet that attract that in your life. So it makes us take responsibility, stop blaming people. Well, it's your fault. And you did this to me. And I've always tell you, you're not gonna like it when I tell you this as a transformation coach. It's not their fault. Actually, it's your fault.
It's yours.
Oh,
Yeah.
people don't like to hear that. What do you mean it's my fault? Yeah, let's go back. Let's go find out all these little signs and red flags that you ignored. Let's find out about how you feel about yourself, that you are attracting these things in your life. I had to do the same work myself,
Hmm.
in previous relationship. Okay, why did that type of person enter my life? Why did I have that type of relationship? And I had to find out what I did wrong and
Yeah.
point finger back at myself for me to transform, change myself, so I won't attract that type of person in my life ever again. That's where the work starts. But we pointing fingers, you did this to me, you did that to me, it's your fault. If you didn't do, ma'am, let's go back within. Let's go find out. I'm calling it this little monster that's creating this chaos in your life.
Hmm.
Let's go kill that monster and change that so you could attract the right person. So even
Right.
having the wisdom with the relationship in your life, because just because they come, you just, okay, I'll be whatever you want me to be, and no boundaries. You become a liquid to fit in anybody else's glass, whatever the shape of the glass, you just fit in. Like, what? No, that's not what I'm made for. I'm not made to fit in this glass. No, thank you.
I don't
You're
know
able
why
to.
when you said that, that made me think of have you seen the movie Coming to America?
Yes. Oh
So
my.
that made me think of that because when she said,
Whatever
what
you
kind of
want.
movie do you like? Whatever it is that you like,
Yes,
that's
whatever
what you were
you
talking
like.
about, like fitting into that. Yeah, like you just become whatever the person. And he was like, no, that's not what I want. Like he wanted somebody who had
Exactly.
boundaries, somebody who said, yeah, I don't like that. I like French fries instead of onion rings. Like I liked it. So that just made me think of that. I love
I,
that.
I use that. I use that example too. I said, just like coming to make it whatever you want. What do you like? Whatever you like. Oh no.
I love it.
So you never really tap into what you like, what you want, to see if it
Hmm.
will complement what you like. And so a lot of people does that as a couple. You try to make the other person you instead of
Yeah.
allowing the person to complement who you are. That's a
Yeah.
big difference. You're not supposed to marry yourself,
Hmm.
right? That would be a very miserable relationship. You got to marry yourself and you live with yourself. And
You
you're
might as
like,
well be
oh
by
my
yourself.
God. But we don't understand. I have to, when I invite someone into my chamber in relationship, I'm going to have to be respectful of their personality and what
Mhm.
they like and make room for each other in this relationship. Not you become me so I could become comfortable.
Right.
If I made a decision to be in this, I need to make some adjustment, some healthy compromise.
Yeah.
So because you're no longer by yourself. So that we have to be careful when we enter into this, I call it the ship together. We make
Mhm.
room for one another, but we complement one another. It's like two beautiful colors coming together and creating a new beautiful color,
I love
you
that.
know? So yeah.
But I'm gonna give you now time to tell people where they can find you. Tell them about the book, where they can purchase the book, and I'll give you a few minutes to do that now. I'm gonna give you the screen.
Okay. Thank you. And you could find me on hannahjosue.com. It's spelled my Khanah, Josue, Josue. khannajosue.com. And you could just go in the website. You could visit the coaching session, the premarital session. And I also have a website, Riverwalk Wedding of Dallas, because I'm also a professional officiant as well as a premarital counseling. I'm also a counselor with Together with Texas, with that gives people a discount when you receive your marriage certificate. And my book, School of Thought, you could go on Amazon and you will find the School of Thought, the book. All right, this taking your thought back to school. And also I have a class, a series, Sweep Your Brain series. And you could go on my website and sign up for it. Even if you have a group that you want me to teach that to the group or your prayer group or the professional group, even your business. And I could help coach your employees. I don't care if it's 2, 3, 10, 30, 50, 500. I could do that as well, and teaching them how to have the right mindset in your company to be able to invest properly in your company. Postmarital relationship and postmarital counseling, I do that, especially for those of you who are in relationship and you want to know, should I stick with this relationship or not? So I really highly recommend counseling, and I do that as well. So KhannahJosue.com and also riverwalkweddingofdallas.com. So you could also find the book on Amazon, and I have other books. I have 2 other books on Amazon that you could find that as well. So I thank you so much for taking the time to hear me today. I hope something that I've said really helped, and you could go on my site, and if it does help, to give me feedback on how did the information help. Thank you so much.
I love it. Thank you again for coming on and talking to me. I so appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me. It was such an honor. I love conversating with you. We mesh really good.
Yes, I love it. And you will be back because you're coming back for season 5 for the life coaches, the motivation. So you're definitely going to be back. I'm excited about that episode too. Okay, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And as always, I want you to remember that you are graced and gifted for a time such as this. You have purpose in this world, and you have been created to do great and amazing things. So until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and don't forget to leave a review. You can follow Shira on all major platforms and on YouTube at Shira Renee 510. Until next time, spread love, show grace, and shine bright.